Good evening. You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast by Power 88 and Fans Only Sports Network. I am your host, Adam Wright, with no other co-hosts. Nobody else was available. No CJ tonight. No Justin Tucker tonight. No Nick Carlson tonight. No Jay Hill. It's just me, but I'm making it up for you guys. I have not one but two special guests. One of them, for those of you OGs out there, you guys know him too well. Give it up for Robert Shelley, host of the Pesky Pole Podcast. And we also have Max Cates, host of, is it the Eurostep podcast?
Eurostep Hoops. Eurostep Hoops it is.
Eurostep Hoops. So I'll start with Robert. A lot of people know you on this show, but for those who are just tuning in for the first time, why don't you reintroduce yourself?
Yo, what's up, guys? My name is Robert Shelley. The only reason you don't see me on here more is because Adam is afraid of me taking his spotlight, as always. But I am the host. I am the host of the Pesky Pole Podcast, the greatest Red Sox podcast out there. Screw Gonbridge podcast. But other than that, great to be on, talk a little bit about the football, even though we're in the off season.
All right, awesome. Nice to have you on. Max, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Max Cates. I've known Adam for less than a year. We're both sports broadcasting majors at Dean, and I have my own podcast. I run the Eurostep Hoops podcast, talk about the NBA, talk about all sorts of basketball topics. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. It's great. You've known me for less than a year, and you already know I'm a little bit of an asshole, but we're figuring it out. Max isn't the biggest NFL guy, but he's a huge NBA guy. I offered for him to stay for the whole show, but isn't too comfortable with his knowledge on the NFL. He's learning, but he is a big time NBA guy, as I mentioned. And we're going to start with his segment. He's just going to be here for that. And we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs. So what do you have on the NBA, Max?
So with the playoffs, as a Celtics fan, I am beginning to brace myself with how the Celtics will show up in Milwaukee. We played absolutely terrible game one. We settled for so many jump shots. Our double J's, Jason and Jalen, they couldn't buy a bucket even if God let them, let's say. And game two, here we come, guns blazing. Giannis has 4 points at the end of halftime, and Grant Williams is turning into prime Reggie Miller in the flesh. It's absolutely incredible watching the Celtics game two. However, it's not going to be a fun series in Milwaukee. We know how rowdy the crowd is. We know how they get their stuff done. They do not have the Celtic killer in Middleton, but here comes Javon Carter out of nowhere, suddenly turning into one of their best players, and I'm just like, what is this? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on how the Celtics could go on the games. What are your thoughts?
Okay, Adam, if you wouldn't mind.
Yep.
First of all, did you see how the Celtics casually, and I mean casually, bent over Brooklyn? Right? Giannis is Giannis. He's going to have the occasional 40-point game. There is no denying that. There is no stopping that. I would say put Marcus Smart on him, but Marcus Smart has about 9-inch difference between him and Giannis, so that's not an option. With Middleton out, it makes this series so much more easy to win because Middleton, like you said, Celtics killer anytime. I mean, I want to say it was 2017 game one versus the Celtics.
I already know the shot you're talking about.
0.4 seconds, my man did not care.
I was
Celtic killer.
I was sick to my stomach when I saw that.
It was 2018, sorry, 2018. Because I remember that was my freshman year at college. But either way, no Middleton. But what you're talking about between Jalen and Jason not buying a bucket, that has happened in only one of 6 games in the playoffs. The other games, either one or both of them have been going off. When Jason Tatum fouls out, Jaylen Brown says, give me the keys. I'm ready to drive this. Right? We have 2 preliminary scores. Giannis can only defend 1. Giannis is an all-NBA defender. Giannis is one of the best all-around talents in the NBA right now. But he can only defend 1. You know, Drew Holiday isn't big enough to defend Jaylen Brown. And as you're right, Javon Carter has been killing it. But Javon Carter's been like really underrated throughout his career, being in Memphis for a little bit, then going to Phoenix and being on that finals run. Huge factor off the bench for them. And now he's in Milwaukee doing the same thing. So I still see the Celtics winning this series in 6. If Middleton was here, Celtics in 7. But Celtics in 6, we win 1 or 2 on the road.
Good point.
See, when this series first started on game 1, I was like, oh no. They were trying. It's like they were trying so hard to shut down Giannis that the team forgot how to shoot. And one of your lead scorers in Jaylen Brown only turned in 12 points. Tatum put up 21 points, but he was inefficient. The whole team was inefficient shooting. And you looked at it, you're like, oh God, is this really what's gonna happen? You know, on the big stage, your 2 superstars turn into pumpkins. And then they came out the next game, guns blazing, as Max put it, and the team absolutely killed the Bucks. And the way I saw it, I'm not as worried about going into Milwaukee as Max is. I think that, and if you look at it over the course of this season, the Milwaukee's actually terrible on the road, or excuse me, at home. They're a home choking team. They're barely above 500, and you put that on top of being the lower seed. And this just spells disaster for Milwaukee. I think the Celtics take a couple of these games on the road. They come back and they win the whole series in Boston, and that's going to be the way it works. I'm not too worried anymore. Seeing that defensive outing, that whole team can play defense, top to bottom. Grant Williams has got, even given his size, can defend. And
I didn't
you
even
look
talk
at
about him. That man was a meme
I
last year
remember-
and then got pissed off.
he pissed. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember quite a while ago during the Brooklyn series, I talked about Grant Williams. I talked to my co-host Armands from Latvia all the time about the Celtics. If Grant Williams, right, if he can get it going on defense, if he just gets it, knows what to do, Boston has a cheat code in their hands. We call him Mr. 45%. Because he hits 45% of his threes.
I thought you were going to say we call him that because it took him 45 tries to get his first 3-pointer in the NBA. But
there's that too.
I remember we had Jabari Parker when we picked him up early on. Remember, his first shot was an air ball 3-pointer, and I'm like, this is what the Celtics has come to now. We picked up 40-year-old Joe Johnson. We picked
that was amazing. Don't even start with
Jabari
that.
Parker, Luke Cornett. We even picked
the
up.
unicorn. Don't disrespect. I saw him play in Denver. He had 2 points. He was a goon.
Hey, don't disrespect budget Kristaps Porzingis playing on the Xbox 360. Okay, don't get me started on Luke Cornett. Don't even get me started with Abdul Nader either. I remember the Celtics down years with Abdul Nader bricking 4 free throws in a row. Yeah,
do you remember the name RJ Hunter?
Remember the name Gershon Yabusele? Remember Shemi Ojale?
That's the Giannis stopper. We don't talk about Gershon. No, wait, that was Semi.
That
was Semi. I'm sorry. That was Semi Ojale.
Our Giannis stopper is Horford. But the one thing I remember with Gershon was the 3-pointer celebration with the bow and arrow dab 3-pointer. Yep, you already know. But
we've seen some stuff with Celtics fans. We've seen it all.
I know. But back with the Bucks series, I think it's going to be a vastly different series. We can look at, and a sole reason is the guard position in Brooklyn. Goran Dragic, Patty Mills, 6-foot guards, Kyrie Irving, 6-foot guards who aren't as physical as our lanky, slightly oversized guards with Jalen, DPOY Marcus Smart. Even Peyton Pritchard puts in a decent shift with his stocky size. The guards in the Celtics can do a great job shutting him down. It's just stopping Giannis. But what the Celtics have done excellent in is whenever he drives, everybody swarms in the paint. Make everybody else beat you. And I will gladly leave Drew Holiday open for a 3 rather than have Giannis one-on-one people in the rim barreling, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'd rather leave Brook Lopez open for 3 instead of Drew Holiday, but point still stands.
Yeah, certainly. But looking past this, dare I say, if I were to look past this Bucks series and look at this the NBA playoffs in general, regarding the Celtics, what do you guys think of their chances going past I'm going to play the if game, if they get past the Bucks?
This is their finals matchup. This is their match to get into the finals. The Philadelphia 76ers aren't doing anything without Joel Embiid. They're not getting past Miami without Joel Embiid. Celtics lost to Miami last year. They're pissed that they lost to Miami. They're going to come out with a vengeance. They're going to make sure Jimmy Butler can't do nothing. Tyler Hero's going to be the X factor, but that series is still probably going to go 4-1 Celtics. On the other side, the Warriors are giving the Mavs are giving the Warriors some trouble. No, it's Mavs and...
You mean Grizzlies Warriors, right?
Grizzlies Warriors, yeah.
And
the Grizzlies
Mavs
are giving the Warriors some trouble, and the Mavs are giving the Suns a little bit of trouble, but I still see it being a Celtics Warriors finals. As much as I'd hate to say it, I'm going to give the Warriors in 7.
That's a good point. Adam, any thoughts?
I don't know, man. The way I see it with the Golden State Warriors, their golden days, if you will, no pun intended, are kind of behind them. They are a team they've gotten healthy after being hurt for a few years. They've gone back to championship contention, but no Kevin Durant now. And this is a Warriors team that even at their peak, the Celtics during the regular season would always give Golden State problems, always. And you had the likes of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson always struggling. Kevin Durant, every time you looked up, would always get pickpocketed by Jaylen Browns and Marcus Smarts of the world, who are still on the team now. And now I look at it, I'm just not. Am I wrong for not being afraid of the Phoenixes and Golden States of the world? I'm just not that. I think this Celtics team is on a mission, and they're not going to stop with the likes of any of these Western Conference teams. I'm just not too afraid of them. And maybe it'll come back and bite me in the ass, but I just don't think so.
You're talking regular season though. Yeah, they don't have Kevin Durant anymore, obviously, but with a starting 5 of Curry, Poole, Thompson, Wiggins, and Draymond, that starting 5 is deadly. I mean, they had Gary Payton too, but Gary Payton's not. He just was out for 3 weeks.
Thanks, Dylan Brooks. Yeah.
That was such a scumbag play. You'd expect somebody like Grayson Allen to be making that play. But anyway, you're talking regular season. Stephen Curry, win or lose, is averaging 37 points in the finals. Klay Thompson is going to average 24. Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins are probably going to average 18 each, and Draymond Green's going to have 3 steals a game and probably 2 blocks. They're such an all-around unit that it's going to take everybody on the Celtics to be locked in. Even Grant Williams probably shooting 45% from 3 to be able to get this team down.
But that's what I'm saying.
They have more depth and more star power than us.
Depth offensively, but defensively, everybody can defend on the Celtics. And defense really matters when it comes to not only racking up wins and getting a high seed, but also when it comes to the playoffs and being able to lock down those star players, top to bottom, even your stars. Jason Tatum's a good defender now. Jaylen Brown is still elite. Marcus Smart was Defensive Player of the Year. It's just you look top to bottom, this team can play. And I think that's going to matter.
But the Celtics strategy for these first 2 rounds is make your star basically out of the game and make everyone else beat us. How are you going to do that with the Warriors? You double team Curry. Okay, Thompson's wide open in the corner. You double team, you leave Thompson guarded. Oh, Jordan Poole's wide open for 3. There's just too many people on that team who are able to shoot and create offensive opportunities for themselves that we can't go to this other strategy. The Celtics need to be able to body these guys one-on-one, and I just think they're too good offensively for that to happen.
So what if you prioritized, and we're playing way too much ahead because we don't know who's going to win this series. Let's knock on wood before we continue on this as a few Celtics fans. But let's say you prioritize Curry and Thompson, and then make Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins beat you. Do you think the Celtics win the series?
Andrew Wiggins was an all-star for a reason.
Jordan Poole is averaging 20-plus points per game in his first playoff series after playing in the G League last year. Mm-hmm. You can argue that he has been the second best player offensively on the Warriors.
With Thompson coming back from injury, yeah.
Yeah, Thompson came back from an ACL injury, and he turned into Game 6 Klay Thompson just recently. Hit a game winner.
Toaster Klay.
I know. But the thing with this Warriors roster is that they thrive off of those double teams. You see all those plays that they do where Draymond gets the ball on the foul line after a double team, gets a layup, or he throws the lob weak side. And the thing with the Celtics, right? I remember we talked about the defense of the Celtics. Why have we not talked about Al Horford? Al Horford is the Embiid stopper, the Giannis stopper. He is like Lance Stevenson on the Pacers. Lance Stevenson turned into dog water with Charlotte, turned into dog water with every other team.
LA.
Robert Williams, too. We haven't mentioned him
Lance
either.
will make him dance on the Pacers. And it's like Horford and Tice with the Celtics. They just turn into the players that were supposed to go into the finals in the bubble.
Goons.
I still have PTSD from Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo, okay? I still have PTSD from the Bam block. But you can argue, all right? I don't know if this is a hot take, but you can argue that this Warriors team is just as good talented on paper as their first championship team. Think about it. 3-and-D athletic wing with Wiggins compared to Barnes. They have centers who know how to do their job with potentially Wiseman. I thought the Warriors had a win-win situation early on in the season with Wiseman. Rookie out for the year, second-round pick a center. I thought they were going to trade for potentially Gobert or Siakam halfway through the year. But now they get to keep Wiseman for the future, and he is a solid piece. And with the Warriors, I think they'll have a great matchup with the Suns. The Suns are here on a mission, remember. They lost versus Milwaukee in the finals. Chris Paul had a perfect game, 14 out of 14, and he is cooking everybody. In my opinion, the Suns are the team to beat in the West. Devin Booker, incredible. Everybody is on a mission, just like the Celtics. And what really gets these championship contending teams, the role players. The role players need to step up and do what they're elite at perfectly. And that's where we see the Suns, we see the Warriors, we see the Celtics and the Bucks, even the Heat. Those are some of the teams that you can argue are the upper echelon of the playoffs.
They're up there in seeding for a reason, certainly. Mm-hmm. And I just want to touch back on we don't have too much time left, but I want to touch back on the Golden State Warriors, looking at Jordan Poole, looking at Andrew Wiggins. These are two players who, one of them, what you mentioned, was even in the G League before, and the other Andrew Wiggins doesn't really have too much. He's always been able to rack up the points per game, but if you give it the eye test, this is the only year when he's been a legitimate all-star. And I just look at that, and if we prioritize getting the guys who've been there first, you get Klay Thompson, you get Steph Curry first, you clamp those guys down, the guys who've been there, and then you make Jordan Poole beat you, you make Andrew Wiggins beat you. Yeah, Andrew Wiggins was an all-star for a reason. And yes, Jordan Poole was arguably the second best player in that offense. However, this is really when they have sort of just sprouted. They just came out. So you look at it that way, you kind of beat them with the experience. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown have already been there. Not in the NBA Finals, but they've been deep in playoff runs before. Andrew Wiggins has not. Jordan Poole has not. So I think you could beat them there, and that's why I'm not really too afraid of Golden State. The Celtics match up very well against them. They have in the past. Even the Bridgie teams of Isaiah Thomas and Al Horford and Jay Crowder and all those boys, they gave them problems.
Bradley, baby.
And now they have a much more talented team. They're as motivated as ever. They want to win. I just think this is a team that not many teams are going to beat. And I could be eating my words this series because it's still tied 1-1, and the Bucks are a really tough out, and Giannis is tough to shut down. As Max mentioned, Giannis had 4 points going into halftime. What did he finish with? 28?
He finished with a lot. That's enough to say.
Yeah,
a lot. Too much to count. Still, the team collectively only 89 points. But Max, you have any other thoughts before the segment ends here?
Yeah, I enjoyed your argument with the Warriors. However, I think a coach can make the biggest difference on the planet, right? Steve Kerr's system, he gets all the players to buy in. He can make Poole look like an experienced vet. Same way with Ime Udoka. His coaching system is we get everything good on defense and let our offense go naturally after that. Look at what he transformed into the Celtics. Jason Tatum
sucked at the beginning of the year.
It sucked. Terrible. And then halfway through the year, I think all the players aired their grievances with that. And we basically got our championship team together with Horford and Tice. All those guys back. Derek White, he's been terrible in the playoffs, don't get me wrong. I want San Antonio Spurs Derek White, the one who baptized Paul Millsap. Okay? I want that Derek White, not the Derek White who's running and just not looking like what he's doing like a sore thumb. Thanks, Ben Simmons, for showing up in that costume and playing Call of Duty 23 hours a day on Discord, according to your friends. But yeah, I think Suns, Warriors are the upper echelon teams in the East. It'll be those two in the Western Conference Finals. I'll give it to the Suns. More depth. They've been to the finals recently, and those guys have played together collectively 1 through 15 compared to the Warriors. And I think the Celtics can get out. We have experience compared to the newer teams in the East.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks have to adjust without Chris Middleton. The Heat, they have Kyle Lowry. They have a resurging Tyler Hero off the bench. And with other teams such as Milwaukee and Heat, no, I already mentioned them. But with the other teams that I haven't mentioned, us, the Celtics, we have gelled for quite a few years now. And I think we're the team to beat in the East.
100%.
Yep.
Can we talk about Philly Al Horford though? Can we talk about how bad of an experiment that was?
Making him a corner 3-point shooter, and then turning him to OKC, and he increased his value. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any year the Celtics do it, it's this year.
Out
of all the years that they've been borderline playoff team, being the 3 seed and going to the conference finals and then losing in 6 to the Heat, in those years where you take LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers 7, those bridgy Celtics teams that I like to call, with Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder.
Kyrie.
This is the year. If they don't do it now, they're not going to do it ever. Because then at this point, if they lose now with them dialed in like this, players are going to start tuning out. Jason Tatum's going to say, you know what? I should just go play with somebody else, form a super team somewhere.
No,
Jaylen Brown's going to say,
are you drunk?
What do you mean?
He's made the conference finals 3 out of 4 years in the league.
And has nothing to show for it.
Okay, and who did he have around him?
He played LeBron in his rookie year.
And baptized him. Sent him in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And you're going to say he's pissed?
He's been given Jaylen Brown,
who he's had to build up and work with.
Al Horford, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving.
Kemba sucked here. Kyrie kind of sucked here and was injured for a full season out of the 2. Kyrie
was really good.
Oh,
he was just not
dysfunctional. It was just
a very bad chemistry player. And Kemba kind of got screwed over by injuries. When he first got here, he was awesome.
Oh,
and then after that, age killed him. Age and injuries killed him.
Still pissed we didn't trade Gordon Hayward from Miles Turner in a first.
And they had Gordon Hayward.
They
had Gordon Hayward
for a year and a half.
For a year. He had trouble He had trouble staying healthy, but when he did get healthy and was dialed in, he was pretty good.
But you counted on this guy to be a leader and one of your best guys right from the second he stepped on the court, and he stepped up. He led this team to the conference finals his first year. Complete rookie, right? Marcus Smart was horrid at offense back then. Jaylen Brown was just getting into himself. He was only a second-year player. Al Horford was better than he was now. I'll give you that. And I can't name a single other player on that team that was in there.
I remember with the Celtics, we had
Markieff Morris or Marcus Morris.
Tank Commanders, Morris and Rozier.
Hey, don't you disrespect Scary Terry. Game 1, Scary Terry was a boom. Drew Bledsoe was his son.
Hey, that was just what the Celtics fans called him. I loved Scary Terry, okay? Terry Rozier averaged, 13 points per game and just balled out this playoff.
That's the point I'm making.
We would have not been where we were at now
without him.
If it wasn't for Terry Rozier. Terry Rozier balled out, got it for Kemba. Kemba, little did you know, didn't work out to now. But with the Celtics and the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown thing, they're only 23, 24 years old. They're not even into their prime yet. And they are still figuring it out as the main 1 and 2 guy. I wouldn't be mad, and I understand it's a weird thing to say. I wouldn't be too mad, and I think our future will be better even if we lose this year. Grant Williams can be an MIP next year, and I have a hot take. I don't think it's a hot take. Hey, hear me out. If Grant Williams gets everything going, he gets more minutes, and he hits the threes like he's doing now, count me in with the defense. Tyrese Haliburton, he could potentially be an all-star next year, looking at he's with the Pacers. But, man, talking about the Celtics now compared to talking about them a few months ago, it's like we did a complete 180.
It was a complete 180. All I'm saying is I just think it's been too long of a rebuild, and I think some of the star players, especially the young superstars, the Jaylen Browns and Jason Tatums of the world, are going to get impatient the more times you fall short. And the team has gotten to the conference finals. They can't get over the hump. And it's not like they haven't been surrounding the team with talent. And it's very rare for the Celtics to land stars in free agency. And the team managed to get Gordon Hayward. They managed to get Kemba Walker. They managed to get Al Horford twice, actually. They got him to come back. Not that Al Horford was all that much coming back. He's a good defender, but you know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. They need to win it this year. They just need to. Clock is ticking. The player movement is only getting worse around the league. And I just think eventually Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are going to get impatient, and they're going to eventually want out if they can't win a championship with Boston. And this is the year to do it. If they can't do it now, they might never do it. I'm really worried about that.
Adam, let's just move on to football, because obviously you have better takes in football than you do basketball. I'm just trying to save you the embarrassment here, my friend.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's my take on basketball. You guys heard me for the first time now talking some football with Max Cates, the actual football, the basketball expert, and Robert, who knows his stuff about basketball as well. But all right. Max, thank you so much for joining us. We'd love getting your insight on the NBA playoffs and the Celtics. It's going to be I'd love to have you on again and to really actually collab next time with my podcast and yours. Get your co-host on and everything. It'd be great.
Had a great time. Thanks for having me on. Robert, Adam, great talking NBA with you guys. Hey. Celtics in 4 every day. You already know what time it is.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure he was flipping me off under the table when I said anything about Kyrie Irving being on the Celtics.
Me?
Hey, Kyrie said, I'll stay here, and then he dipped.
All right, but it was good talking to you, my man.
Great talking to both of you. Enjoy the rest of your podcast, and I'll see you guys around, man.
Peace.
Thanks, Max. All right, that was Max. That was Max Cates, Eurostep Hoops. Go check him out. He has his own YouTube channel. Go check it out. He knows his stuff about basketball to a science. But coming up next, we're going to talk about Ryan Tannehill and what he said about the new kid coming into that quarterback room. We'll hit on that next. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast. Unbelievable! You are listening to the Fumblerooski Podcast, Power 88 fan and fans only sports network. I'm Adam Wright, special guest Robert Shelley. Last segment, we talked a lot about basketball with Max Cates. In fact, for 30 minutes, we talked about it. That was a long time, but we covered a lot. Good conversation.
What are you gonna do?
I told you, Max knows his stuff about basketball. And if you guys haven't already, go check out his channel. Go subscribe. He knows his stuff. Eurostep Hoops. I believe that's what it is. But yeah, now on to the main event, which is our football show. And so we do have a couple things to hit on, which is also the international games have been announced. We'll get to that next. And then right now we are going to hit on Ryan Tannehill, the Titans quarterback. He is a veteran, and he was asked during a press conference on the idea of mentoring the new quarterback who was drafted in the 3rd round by the Titans, Malik Willis. And he said that he's not really there. He doesn't feel like he's there to mentor the player. He feels like he's more just competing with him, and he doesn't want to mentor him, which was a little bit interesting to be able to say that actually, kind of in front of everybody in a press conference. You really do. You get the feeling sometimes that players don't want to. You get the feeling that they don't want to mentor the young kid coming in to possibly replace him, but they never actually say it at a press conference. And he did, which was interesting. And he's getting a lot of criticism for it. And the media's blown up about it. And there was one time, I think it was LaShawn McCoy. He went out and he said, like, look, you don't have to always be a mentor, but don't do that and also call yourself a good teammate. Why? It's quite simple, because let's say Ryan Tannehill gets hurt and Malik Willis has to come out there. God forbid he doesn't know what he's doing. Hopefully he's prepared enough to be able to go out there, and he probably would have loved to have your mentorship to help with the team winning, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, especially regarding football. It's about the team. And if Malik Willis has to go out there for a game and help you win a game, you better hope that he knows what he's doing, and he didn't need your mentorship, but he probably could have used it. That's all. That's kind of my basic take. But Robert, what do you think about it?
All I gotta say, Ryan Tannehill is a hoe. Okay, that's first of all. First and foremost, right? You get the new kid coming to town. Every Tennessee fan that I know has been saying, I want Tannehill out. He is a good player, but not at that Super Bowl winning caliber level. He is not there. He doesn't have the expertise in the playoffs. He doesn't have the leadership qualities. He doesn't have anything like that. So the best you can do is just when they draft your replacement, he's not replacing you first year. His contract's 2 more years, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. I'll look up the details of his contract, but continue while I search.
He's good for this year. Nobody is saying that Malik Willis is going to take his job year 1. But in 2023, it becomes exponentially cheaper for the Titans to just fire Ryan Tannehill, to just get him out of town. So doesn't it make sense that they would draft a project high upside quarterback who fell to the 3rd round, who maybe should have been taken around late 1st round, but no team took him till the 3rd round. So a high project guy falls to you. Maybe you can develop him for a year and then cut your meh quarterback in a year when it becomes extremely cheaper to cut him, and then you run with the new guy. It just made too much sense for Tennessee to pass up on. It was a great pick by them. So if you're Tannehill, what you do is you mentor the guy, prove that you are a great team player and a good leader. You mentor the guy through the year, but you put up good enough numbers to not warrant the Titans to release you, and either you get 1 more year and you finish out your contract, or you get traded. Either way, you still have a high upside to you. If you go out there this year and you crap the bed, you're going to find yourself Baker Mayfield style. It's that simple. So the best thing you can do right now, just mentor the kid, say, yeah, I like him. He's got good upside, blah, 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 blah. I'm still the starting QB right now, but this kid's going to get his time. That's the best thing you can do right now.
Yeah, sure. That's kind of, it's like Ryan. The problem is it's Ryan Tannehill, and Ryan Tannehill is not that like even like I think he really showed his true colors during his Miami days. He was just kind of okay. He was barely above average starting quarterback, arguably average.
But he had Adam Gase as his QB, okay?
As his head coach?
As head coach, yeah.
Either way, the difference in talent that he's going from Miami into to Tennessee is astronomical.
Night and day.
It's a massive difference, night and day. And the issue is he's working, and he's not exactly the center of attention that offense. The focal point of that offense is the running game. It's a run first offense. The only reason he's been solid is because he's kind of, and to put it into, to put it in basketball terms, he's an off-ball player. He's just limiting his mistakes.
Yeah.
And
that's all he's got to do. He doesn't need to be a superstar. He doesn't need to be a Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. He just needs to be Ryan Tannehill. And he's failing at that in clutch situations.
Exactly. He threw 3 picks. I mean, what else in his defense? What are you going to mentor him about besides throwing three interceptions in a playoff game?
Hey, you see that 5-yard check down, no matter what, that is your first route. That's
not true.
Because
he when he does take the shots, he does hit them. Because he's had AJ Brown in the past.
And no Julio. Yeah, it's a 5-yard check down to whoever the hell their tight end is, whose name I can't
but Julio
remember.
was washed. Julio was washed. And they do have Robert Woods now. And they got this new kid who's theoretically same play style, same build. He's theoretically the second coming of AJ Brown. So if they get that back and you still have Robert Woods, then you possibly have something. But the problem with this team is, it's just you're only going to go as far as the quarterback allows you to. And Ryan Tannehill is just not it. I've just never believed in Ryan Tannehill. He's been able to he's rejuvenated his career a little bit in Tennessee, but you're not fooling anybody. We all know that this offense, you're only good because of the system. You're running, this offense runs through Derrick Henry. And you could see it was night and day that this team, and you know what? I will give them credit, Tennessee credit. Once Derrick Henry went down, they were able to manage the roster a little bit to be able to retain that number 1 seed.
I said they wouldn't. I was wrong. I was on this show saying they would suck without Derrick Henry in those final 4 weeks. I was wrong.
Yeah, I didn't believe in them either. I didn't believe in them with Ryan Tannehill, but that's another story to be told. But regardless, I don't know. Ryan and it's Malik Willis has some potential, but in this draft class, if you have a quarterback, especially when he's drafted in the 3rd round, in this quarterback draft class, there's not really that much to be insecure about. And the fact that Ryan Tannehill is showing his insecurity, it tells you something. And did you hear about how he had to go to therapy because that loss in the playoffs haunted him? And I'm not saying it's a bad thing that he went to take care of his mental health. That's good. If he figures it out, great. But it kind of shows a little bit of insecurity that this quarterback, this guy drafted in the 3rd round, no disrespect to Malik Willis.
He should have been he should have been a low 1st round, high 2nd round guy. We can both agree on that. 100%.
I disagree. I don't think any of the quarterbacks are worthy of it. I just don't think this was that good of a draft class.
Yeah, but pick it to the Steelers made complete sense. I mean, that one was just a position. It was more position of need than going position of talent. Quarterback trumps all when it comes to position of need. If that's your position of need, you need to reach. But Kenny Pickett, I believe, was a good pick for the Steelers. He won't start over who did they get? Trubisky.
Sometimes I disagree.
Week seven, they're going to switch it up and
sure. Sometimes I disagree. Sometimes about position of need. Sometimes if the best player available is not in that position of need, then don't address that position. address the best player available. Roll with Mitch Trubisky for a year or two, and then once that one quarterback, that quarterback messiah comes around for Pittsburgh, then you jump on him. But this is a quarterback draft that I would have stayed away from. And if you're committing to a quarterback, if you are committing to a quarterback, you're usually committing 3 years, unless you're Arizona and you just drafted Josh Rosen. Unless you're
the Giants and dedicate 5 to Danny Derp.
Yeah, exactly.
Danny Derp.
That's a commitment. And to just commit to just anybody, just let's look at this quarterback draft. I just didn't like it. And I knew the Panthers were really desperate for a quarterback. I applaud them for going offensive line instead, because if they went with Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, that wouldn't have been the best choice. I think it's just not going to work out. I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to work out for them.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong.
But either way, Malik Willis should have been in that area. Gets taken in the 3rd round. You just get that to fall into your lap. It reminds me so much of 2011 Seattle. Was it 2011? It's 2011, right?
Yes.
Russ was drafted. Yeah, just falls into your lap. They had, what was his name? Who's the QB of Seattle? I have his name on the top of my head. Matt Hasselbeck.
Yep.
They have Hasselbeck as their guy, but they know Hasselbeck isn't good enough to lead them. So you give Hasselbeck 1 more year to mentor.
We want the ball and we're going to score.
Oh, Matt Hasselbeck, you beautiful dumbass. Matt Hasselbeck was never the answer. But that's the same situation repeated 11 years later, and you can't tell me otherwise. Plus, 11. Malik Willis has When was Matt Hasselbeck taken? No, not in the draft, but like what year? Because I thought it was like early 2000s. And 11 years ago was 2011. No, I'm talking about Russell Wilson being drafted with Matt Hasselbeck.
Russell Wilson. Okay. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was drafted in the 3rd round, fell into Seattle's lap. Matt Hasselbeck was the guy, but it didn't take long for Russ to prove that he was able to take over the reins. Then after the next year in 2012, when Russ was able to take over, things completely changed for him, right? It's the perfect situation. It's history repeating itself.
Sure, but wasn't the 2011 quarterback draft a little bit better than this one? I mean, Russell Wilson compared to Malik Willis.
Didn't Tebow go number 1 overall?
Yeah, you're always going to have those. That one douchebag who's taken, and I guess Tebow isn't a douchebag, but there's douchebags who are complete jocks coming out of college. They're number 1 draft picks. They don't have their head screwed on straight, and then they wind up being complete stiffs when they get to the NFL. And,
did that remind you of anything? And
Tim Tebow, nice guy, good guy, and he prays before games. That's awesome. I love it. I love your having pride in your religion, and he's just not a good quarterback.
Not a good.
He won that one playoff game though.
That was awesome for Denver. I'll say people still talk about that to this day in Denver.
Yeah. I would.
This is a sad town, Adam.
Didn't they win a quarter? They've been to 2 Super Bowls since then, and that's what they talk about.
I've still seen people talk about the Tebow touchdown in the playoffs, saying that's what changed the game for Broncos football.
It didn't, but I'll give it to them. It was a great win for them. They got their doors blown off the next week in New England, but I'll give it to them. Sure, it was a good win. You can at least point that out. I mean, yeah, but that was like the lone Tim Tebow highlight in his NFL career. When you show highlights from Tim Tebow's NFL career, you just show that one highlight. Just show that one play. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about international NFL games, 5 of them being announced, not all in London. There's a few of them in other places. We're going to get to that next. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast. Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. I'm Adam Wright, special guest Robert Shelley of the Pesky Pole Podcast. So, international games have been announced, their dates and times, and we'll get into the specifics of it, but I'm going to give you all of the games. So, the first one is going to be in London on October 2nd. It's going to be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then on October 9th, it's going to be at 9:30 and in the UK. So the first three are in the United Kingdom in London. 9:30 for 9:30 for the next one. So first one, Minnesota Vikings, Saints, on October 2nd, 9:30 a.m. And what I like about these is that they're all in the morning. That's probably what I like the most about it. Giants, Packers, October 9th, 9:30 a.m. Broncos, Jacksonville Jaguars, 9:30 a.m. October 30th. And that's also in London. Seattle Seahawks, Tampa Bay Bucks. That is going to be in Germany, in Munich, Germany. 9:30 a.m. November 13th. 49ers, Cardinals, Mexico, in Mexico City, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time on November 21st. So, Robert, what are your overall thoughts about these international games? What do you think about them?
I enjoy them having a few more international games, especially where the NFL is only one game a week. So you're able to have some time to travel. So I enjoy expanding the market into London, into Mexico, now into Germany. I mean, what other countries really love football? I would say maybe Australia could be a point of destination at some point. Get a game up in Montreal, Toronto, somewhere there. But I do enjoy the NFL expanding themselves and going in different places. By the way, just so we're clear about the last segment, something that you ended before I could say this. The quarterbacks drafted in 2011, I was wrong. It wasn't Tebow. Or was it Tebow? I don't know. But this says Jake Locker, Colin Kaepernick, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Christian Ponder, and Blaine Gabbert. Those were our 2011.
Never mind. That's a cold take. I didn't look at the draft class before I opened my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But
anyway,
so maybe there could be a diamond in the rough. But the way I also look at it is how they're valued going into that draft, right? And were those I mean, one of them was taken number 1 overall. But I want to stick to this topic here. So, are you done with your take?
No, I just wanted to say that before we moved on.
All right.
But yeah, along with the international games, I do enjoy the NFL going more international. I mean, they have to do the games in the morning. They have to do the games in the morning here because, I mean, over there it's going to be 6, 7 o'clock at night. That's going to be 7:30 a.m. games over here in Denver. So I will not be awake watching those football games. I'll say that. But there will be a lot of diehard Broncos fans out here who will be up early in the morning to watch their team whoop on Jacksonville in London.
So one thing I look at it, so my initial thoughts on this is, to be honest, it is great. It is all fine and good that they're expanding their markets, getting the game out, getting the game of American football out to other countries and showing what we have, because this is a great sport. Kind of in the same way that we're just sort of kind of getting used to lacrosse, which is actually I've called a few games for college. They're actually it's actually a fun sport.
No,
you need to watch it. You just need to check it out. Watch it.
I have.
But
it sucks.
Either way, let me finish. Let me just finish.
Baseball's 10 times better. My people know.
Yeah, I agree.
Pesky Pole Podcast Station, you already know.
All right. So the thing is, me sitting here selfishly as a football fan, I just don't care. I want, besides the fact that I wake up as somebody who's on the East Coast, it's going to be at 9:30 Eastern time for most of these games until Mexico City. That's the only thing I like about it. It's just, you roll out of bed and there's football. That's what I like. And it's all, I'm not saying it's not a great thing that we're expanding and getting off to other areas to introduce this game to other people. But I don't care. I don't care about that. I care about waking up early in the morning at 9:30, right before church, and seeing football. Getting to watch some football.
You're going to be in church while the game's going on.
What's that?
You're going to be in church while the game is going on.
Well, church here starts at 10. So while I'm getting ready for church, and it's only like 10 minutes away, so I'll get ready for church. I'll go over there, and sometimes I'll do a couple.
So you'll watch you'll watch 20 minutes of
the
football.
volume's down. It's muted.
Pathetic. But no, that's the way it is for a regular Sunday here in Denver, right? These people, we wake up on Sunday morning. Some of us, I'll say, go to church. We enjoy. Actually, a lot of people go to church. It might just be because it's a bigger town, but a lot of people go to church here on a Sunday morning in Denver. We all go to church, spend our Sunday mornings praising the good Lord, and then 11 a.m. is when we start up with football. And we just get home from church. You sit on the couch, you unbutton your belt. Someone in the house makes you a good meal, and you're just watching football all day until like 8 o'clock at night. It's beautiful.
Exactly. From 9:30 Eastern time until what? Not even 8.
Till 10.
Till like 10. You're just sitting there watching football. And that's what I love about it. That's what I love. And I'm just talking about me. Now, I'm not saying it's not like I said, I don't want people to get offended being like, why? Well, don't you care about people outside the country learning about our game? Of course I care. Well, now I'm contradicting myself. Maybe this is how it benefits
much of an impact on you.
This is how it benefits me.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about these international games and this Mexico City game. Sure. Again, this is the league is very rarely in Mexico. I think they've been in a couple times, right? But like it doesn't really matter too much to me because it's a primetime game.
Mm-hmm.
So like I just don't care. I just care that I'm getting my football and I'm getting games in the morning. That's awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's great in that sense. Another takeaway I want to give to this is the quality of the matchups that we have. The first one is Minnesota Vikings, New Orleans Saints. Okay, fair.
That'll be a good matchup.
I think the Vikings are going to be a competitive team this year. I have them winning the division, by the way. And the New Orleans Saints could be competitive.
Adam,
I think they have a chance. What's up?
Are you drinking? It's 6 o'clock on a Thursday. Are you okay?
It's Cinco de Mayo, buddy.
Oh, touche.
I'm not drinking, but I should be.
Don't listen to anything that Adam is saying. He is slightly inebriated at the moment.
So you were telling me. So what part of it? The New Orleans Saints being competitive, or the Minnesota Vikings being winning the division?
Yes,
I have them winning the division.
And once again, I will say you are either smoking something, which I know you. I don't believe that's true, or you've been hitting them Steve Weisers a little bit too much.
I'm telling the Vikings, top to bottom, have more talent than the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-mm.
They have a better team.
I'm just gonna put this out there. The Detroit Lions, if they start David Blau, they're winning the division.
All right. Maybe you need to. You need to lay off the drinking. Then the next matchup after this is Green Bay Packers and New York Giants. Now the Green Bay Packers, this isn't even going to be a rout because I'm not a big believer on the Green Bay Packers this year. Their defense has gotten better than it did last year. They addressed that in the draft. But the Giants are just ugh.
Yeah.
And the Green Bay,
I said, Danny Derp.
The Giants and Packers, like this won't even be a rout. Like the Packers aren't good they don't have good enough offense to just destroy this Giants team.
The score is going to be 31-7.
The only reason I will be tuning into this game is for fantasy football. So, and like it's the same thing with, not really. Vikings Saints will be fun.
Adam, there's nobody on the Giants that you're going to have on your fantasy team. That's like a last round guy, but no one on that team deserves to be on a fantasy team.
Maybe Darius Slayton, Kenny Golladay.
Not Golladay.
We need to stick to. There's plenty to get out of this, but let's stick to the narrative of these international games. But Denver Broncos, Jacksonville Jaguars. The Broncos have had a very nice offseason. Obviously, the cherry on top was getting Russell Wilson, but Jacksonville. Now, at first, I didn't mind their draft. And I still hate their pick of drafting Trayvon Walker. Maybe he works out, maybe he doesn't, but he's only taken for his athleticism and not actually because he was a good player in college.
Mm-hmm.
But Jacksonville, I was also looking at Devin Lloyd. Some reports about Devin Lloyd post draft. So me and CJ, we really wanted Devin Lloyd on our team, and we were disappointed when we didn't get him. And we had a chance to take him. Bill Belichick traded back. Excuse me. Then you looked at it, and there's reports after the draft that saying that Devin Lloyd actually has a major attitude problem, and he had some horrible meetings with teams. So both of their first round draft picks could wind up being busts. Not to say that Devin Lloyd couldn't be a freak, but he's not a good team player, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong based on the reports. Up next, we have Seattle Seahawks versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are going to be a Super Bowl contender, but the Seattle Seahawks will not be a Super Bowl contender. This is a lopsided matchup that I will only be tuning into for fantasy football purposes and to watch Tom Brady throw touchdown passes.
As we do, as Patriots fans.
Exactly. I love me some Tom Brady.
No matter what.
Here's my favorite matchup and this is probably the only matchup that is actually legitimately worth watching. You have the San Francisco 49ers against the Arizona Cardinals.
That's still even going to be a rout.
What's that?
That's going to be a beating.
What
week is it in? It's later in the season, right?
November 21st. So it's almost December at this point.
Yeah. So that's like week 11, I want to say, somewhere around there.
Around there. But I like this matchup. I think the 49ers are going to be a very good team. And I think the Arizona Cardinals have gotten better. And this is going to be a point where DeAndre Hopkins is back, but he's also not going to be on the same page as Kyler Murray. I don't think he's going to play as big a role as people will think early on. And watch for the connection between Marquise Brown and Kyler Murray being good buddies in college. They had a great connection back then. And apparently the Arizona Cardinals really liked him when they were visiting to watch Kyler Murray. And obviously both of them were first round picks. They weren't able to get both, and they needed a replacement for Josh Rosen. But I like this matchup for both teams. I think this is a game that could go either way, especially if Trey Lance turns out to be the real deal, which he could be, because everybody, all of his teammates, coaches, and everyone is saying this guy is the real deal. Once he is, he was a project coming out of college, but you have another year under his belt, another year with NFL trainers and coaching. I think this guy could be something. But that's the only, really the matchups are kind of meh.
Lopsided, yeah. We don't have any good, I don't know, something like Buccaneers and Bills, or like a Chiefs and Bills rematch, or something along those lines. We got nothing. We got nothing of that sort.
But again, most of these games, I'm only going to be tuning in for fantasy football purposes, and or if and I'm talking about all fans, or if you're a Saints fan or a Jaguars fan or a fan of the team who's going to be playing.
Those still exist. I thought all those left in 2018.
Saints fans exist. Come on,
barely.
They exist. They have some passionate fans. They have some passionate fans. I'll give them that much. Jaguars fans, you might have a point there. They might have a solid 10 fans. And if you are a Jaguars fan, come forward, and we would like to take you in for studying.
We would like to give you a hug and say it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. they really might have just butchered both of their first round picks. 100%. And I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I love seeing draft picks work out, but
it's the Jags.
It's not looking too good.
All right, even the Giants had a good draft. If the Giants had a good draft, Everybody should have a good draft. And the Giants, theirs just fell into the lap. They didn't even need to do anything special. They just didn't need to screw it up, and they didn't. And I'm so happy for them.
Same thing with the Jets. Sauce Gardner is a slam dunk at number 4. If they the only way they would screw it up is either if somebody else before him took Sauce Gardner and you'd be forced to take Derek Stingley, or
which is still a good pick.
What's that?
Still a good pick.
Still good, but I like Sauce more. I think well, that's another conversation to be had, but we do have to move on for time. We're going to talk about Robert Shelley's Red Sox, and that's going to be his guest segment. We talked about Max's, talking about the NBA. We're going to go on to baseball and talk a little bit of that. That is next. This is the Fumblerooski Podcast.
Way down the field to Watkins. Sammy Watkins for the touchdown.
Welcome back to the Fumblerooski Podcast. I'm Adam Wright, and with special guest Robert Shelley. As I mentioned before, Robert is the host of the Pesky Pole Podcast, which is a podcast about the MLB and, well, mainly the Red Sox, but he also talks about all things baseball. And the Red Sox have had some fairly high expectations. Not too high, but they were supposed to be in the mix this season. So far, what are they, 10 and 15? Around there? Somewhere around there. But I wanted, and I haven't been on your show in a little while to talk Sox with you, Robert, but why don't you just give your overall take? Try to be a little quick because we don't have too much time.
Yeah, I'll keep it to under 5 minutes.
About the Red Sox and the AL East.
But to basically sum it up, the Red Sox kind of suck right now. Going into this year, we had a lot of high hopes. Overperformed last year. We're expecting the same thing, if not better, this year. All you need to know is our leading player in WAR right now for my
Michael
MLB
Wacha
fans out there is Michael frickin' Wacha.
Now,
I wouldn't be surprised if you said to your, phone or laptop or whatever you're watching this on or listening to this on right now, saying that dude's still alive. The last I heard that name was in 2013. Yes, he is still alive. He played for the Rays last year and now jumped over to the Red Sox this year. He's actually been doing very well. I am very impressed with Michael Wacha, but still, screw Michael Wacha. Our top 3 leaders in WAR are, like I said, Wacha, Bogarts, and then Garrett Whitlock. And as much as I love Garrett Whitlock, and he is a goon, that man, we have so much talent on our team that he should not be a top 3 guy in WAR. Our batting average this year, atrocious. Everything has just gone downhill. We are not just getting beat. We are getting bent over and thrown over the kitchen sink. We have a 20% chance to make the playoffs when we just made it to the ALCS.
You're putting the Red Sox in a porno
last year. You can say that, yeah. They're just not the guy in said porno, but yeah, sure.
You know that certain meme where a young lady is sitting on the couch.
No, Adam,
surrounded by
Adam,
a bunch of big strong men.
Adam,
those big strong men is the entire American League, and some in the National League.
This went downhill real fast. I didn't think this.
Hey, you're the one who started with the sexual references. I'm just driving them home.
Bent over the kitchen sink can be taken in a lot of ways. Okay, you're the one who just flat out said it's.
What do you think it means? What other indication could you make it? They're bent over and cutting some onions. They're bent over and cleaning the dishes.
Trying to fix the sink. Yeah, you
bent over and trying to fix the sink.
Yeah.
Getting stuck in the sink.
No, Adam.
Needs to call step bro.
Adam, stop.
You started this.
All right, I think it's my time to leave. All right, I'm out.
Look, this Red Sox team, and this mainly goes the main reason this Red Sox team I have seen has been that they've been below 500, not as good as they should be, is their offense. Their offense has been underperforming tremendously. Their prized acquisition, Trevor Story, has been a massive bust so far. Slow start.
It's been 3 weeks, but yes.
It's early, but very slow start for Trevor Story in his stint with Boston. And by the way, your guy, your current shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, very unhappy, very likely on his way out, and he's been the best player on that offense
by far.
And so the thought that Trevor Story is replacing Xander Bogaerts in the offense is scary. Not just coming for this season, but next season as well.
Hey,
and I like the idea of Trevor Story coming in.
I just need to tell you something real quick.
What's up?
Your favorite Red Sox, Franchy Cordero, has played 3 games. That's how you know it's bad.
That's right.
Franchy Cordero has played 3 games.
Franchy, for those of you who don't know, I've been on Robert's show a lot. I dump on this, and if you guys don't know too much about baseball, Franchy Cordero is kind of a 4A player. He's been up and down in the minor leagues, just coming up, playing a few games, and usually it's only a few at bats. But Franchy Cordero, he sucks.
Hey, he wasn't the center. He wasn't the center point of that Benny trade. He wasn't the center point.
Right,
my man. Mike Wishnowski.
The center point was Andrew Benintendi, and they should never have traded him in the first place.
No, the center point on the other side was Mike Wishnowski. Put some respect on his name.
Sure. I don't need to hear it right now. The Red Sox suck right now, and I'm pissed because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. So you guys have gotten to hear me talk about not only my Celtics and basketball, but also the Red Sox. The only thing I'm missing is talking about the Bruins and the Patriots. Patriots had a terrible draft.
Nice save.
It was a very strange pick for their number 1 overall pick, to say the least. But
he'll be a Pro
Red
Bowl
Sox,
in 2 years.
what I will say about them, and this was very unexpected, is their starting rotation has been their bright spot. Michael Wacha is probably their ace right now. Nathan Eovaldi is having a pretty good year, an ERA in the 2s. Rich Hill has panned out. His ERA is in the 2s. That's 2 of your 3 acquisitions from this offseason who have panned out.
Was also in the 2s?
Nathan Eovaldi, Rich Hill, and Wacha's in the 1s right now.
Rich Hill's a 3.71. Tanner Houck's a 2.41.
That's not true. I checked it. It got lower today because he had an outing against. Did
they just play today? Okay.
The Angels, 5 innings, no earned runs. So that's gone down.
Okay.
So his ERA is in the 2s.
We don't talk about Nick Pivetta.
We're not going to talk about Nick Pivetta,
no,
but
he doesn't exist.
Sale's going to come back soon. And hopefully he'll make some sort of an impact, even though his body's starting to become like made of glass. And on top of that, what's his name? What is it? James Paxton. That was the guy who they got. Another player who's been good in the past. He could, and he's yet to come back. And if he pans out, the way it worked over this offseason for the Red Sox is they signed a bunch of pitchers who have been starting in the past, who are good in the past, very good in starters in the past. They were throwing turds at the wall and hoping something stuck. And with the starting rotation that they had, all they needed was a couple of them to pan out. They already have Wacha. They already have Hill. Eovaldi's pitching as good as he ever has. And looking at that's a good top 3, big 3 rotation. Sale's still coming back. You still have Paxton who's coming back. And Pivetta has to find himself, man. And you also have Whitlock who's been starting as well. So that's a really good starting rotation that has been really good. And I will give Chaim Bloom credit for that because going even back to his Tampa Bay Rays days, he's always been good at finding pitchers. The offense has been lackluster, but that's the main reason this team has been just horrible.
Yeah. Offense is gonna turn around. Don't get me wrong.
And the bullpen They didn't even have a plan going into the offseason for the bullpen.
Their bullpen was praying that Garrett Whitlock could play 3 innings a night every night.
But now they're using him as a starter.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. They want him to be a starter, it looks like. And I'm not against it. Just the problem is now
that for that.
You don't think so?
No.
I disagree.
He's a closer.
I disagree. I think he can be I think he can be whatever he wants.
And I'm not just saying that because he left me on red this offseason for getting another interview in.
Oh yeah, you're just biased. You don't like him.
Hey, all I'm going to say is the last guy to leave me on red absolutely sucked with the Red Sox, and now he's at home with his wife and children, jobless. Screw you, Matt Andrees. Screw you.
Well, now you have Garrett Whitlock, who could potentially in the future be a superstar.
He still came on the show, okay? I still have that. So I'm not rooting against Garrett Whitlock. I'm just saying I'm a little disappointed.
Didn't you have the other guy who left you on red?
Which one?
Who you just mentioned? Never mind.
Oh, Matt Andrees? No, he never came on the show. He just left me on red.
All right. We are running
very over, yeah. Call it.
Very over. I like to try and get it under an hour. We're at an hour 12. But yeah. I hope you guys liked we talked about 3 different sports today. And this could be a little bit of what we get for this summer because I mean, let's face it, there's not much to talk about on the NFL. We're going to get plenty out there. Our player rankings and everything like that. We're going to collab with some other podcasts talking about some football and other sports. We're going to get in some of our guests. We'll have them talk about their favorite NFL teams, and we'll talk about that. So we're going to get some NFL content out. Just we'll mix in some other sports because that's the only way we're going to survive the summer.
100%.
But yeah, any other thoughts before we end the show tonight?
All right. So just for the fans out there, thank you guys so much for listening. And I hope you did enjoy my sexy voice as always, every time I'm on the show. As Adam said, it is Cinco de Mayo. So I will be out completely sober working tonight. Adam will call me at midnight Eastern time, barely hanging on for life while his girlfriend tries to hold his head up as he pukes into the toilet.
I'm going to be drunk singing for you. I'll be like, Robert, you want to hear a song?
Do you want to hear me sing Sweet Caroline?
Dirty water. Boston, you're my home.
Just so you guys know what I got planned for tonight. So God bless you guys. Thanks so much for listening.
All right. So if you haven't already, go check out Robert Shelley's his podcast. He used to have a co-host. Now it's just him riding solo. And it's a pretty good Red Sox show. So if you guys are diehard Red Sox fans, there's a little bit of a sample of what he does and how he kind of bashes my opinions whenever I'm on his show.
His opinions are terrible. Sorry.
I agree to disagree.
Your Celtics opinions, like, goddamn.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think the Celtics are going to be good.
No, good.
I think they're going to be set.
Cut the cameras.
All right. Well, that'll do it for us tonight. Thank you for listening to us. Be sure to tune in to us live Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitter and Facebook through Fans Only Sports Network. Also, be sure to follow our YouTube channel. We also have all our episodes available on Spotify, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and so much more. Also, be sure to follow our Instagram at Fumblerooski_podcast to keep up with our podcast and the latest coverage of the NFL. Otherwise, we will see you next week. Over and out.